Are you ready to master the waves of medical device product development? Well, wax up your surfboard because you are listening to Inspired by Imua. And here is your medical device product development expert, that Hawaiian-hearted hostess who will help you hang 10, Meghan Alonso.
Well, aloha, guys, and I hope you had a great Thanksgiving if you're living in the U.S., and if not, then I hope you had a great week last week. So Americans get really fat and lazy after they eat a bunch of turkey and sides. Well, some of them do at least. A lot of them do get out there and run it off. There's lots of what's called turkey trots around, so it's usually a 5K or a 10K race to help flush all that out of our systems. So I wanted to touch on a topic. I've had a lot of people ask me recently, how do I get funded? Or how can I get connected with investors? Can you connect me with investors? Or what do I need for my pitch? I've practiced it lots of times. Maybe it's just not sinking. And what a lot of people don't realize, it's not just something with their pitch, or it's not just finding the right investor. I wish it was that easy. There would be a lot more medical devices on the market if it was that easy. So there is a ton of work that goes up front to even get someone's attention in order to get your foot in the door to get that pitch. And today we're going to walk through what that looks like. If you have an idea for a medical product, which is actually the perfect lead into my new beta program. And if you're listening to this episode when it goes live on November 28th, then you have just 2 days left. So go ahead and do this today before you forget about it. If you've been thinking about it, or if you find out about this for the first time, I have a new beta program called Invention Idea to Profitable Product. So it goes in a lot more detail than what we're covering today, and just walks you through that process. And I have 10 spots open to where I'm taking beta testers for free. So we can really work on this program. I can really make a difference in your journey, and we can solidify it for the people that go through the program later on. So if you want to apply, head on over to imua-services.com/IIPP. That's Invention Idea to Profitable Product. So there you can just find out a lot more of the details, and you can just see if it's right for you. Or if you're out and about on a walk or at the gym, go ahead and text the word invention to 44222. So for the number that you're texting, just type in 44222, and then in the body of the text, type invention. That'll send you a link where then you can access it later so you don't forget. So if you're listening to this after November 30th, I don't want you to worry. Don't be bummed, because that website's still going to be up. You can still visit that. You can still text invention, and I'll have some info there for how you can get on board with the next class that's going to go through this when it's done with beta. So there'll be some incentive for you to just check it out early. There'll definitely be a discount offered to those who sign up after this period, but before I launch it for real next year. So also, in this episode, if you're listening and you're kind of interested in the topic, I have 2 really similar podcasts that kind of tie into this well. So you can listen to episode 32, and that gives you the options for if you have an idea, there's a few different things that you can do with that idea to really advance it forward. Then episode 34, where I talk with Pat Flynn, and he talked all about idea validation, and he wrote a book specifically for that. Now, his book is geared towards people more in the online business area, so definitely not medical products or health wellness products, but you can pick up a lot of good insight from that episode, and it's always good to steal from different industries. I'm a big advocate of that. So look at what other people are doing outside of your industry and ask yourself, hey, what can I learn here? What can I do here? What can I take with this? And how is that going to help my business? All right. So today I'm going to give you an overview of what you need to know before you even start formulating a pitch, before you think about, hey, what investors should I seek out? You need to have a lot of details flushed out so you can understand that. Also, before you even start to think about forming a company around your idea or technology, this goes back to idea validation. You want to make sure the idea or technology is what the market needs and wants. Will people want to buy it? Is it covered by insurance? Is it that much better than the competitor's product? Or, it needs to be really disruptive sometimes so it won't fail in the marketplace, that it makes a huge difference than rather, hey, it's just a little bit better than what's already out there. So this is idea validation. This is market research. And again, a lot of this is covered in episode 34. So go back and listen to that. I'm not going to dive into that too much. After you've done all this and you feel confident in your idea, you can start the process of developing it into a product. So that's the step in really getting noticed to give a pitch. Investors, even if it's your friends and family, or you're just seeking a little bit of seed money, or maybe you want to do a Kickstarter fund, no one is going to take you seriously. No one is going to care. No one is going to buy into your idea unless you can prove that you understand it, that you've done the necessary steps that makes them have the confidence in you. And that's where it's up to you. You have to do this prep work. You have to lay a solid foundation. You need to fully understand what it takes to get your product on the market so you can work out an estimate of how much it'll cost to get there. And so you can ask for that money. How embarrassing would that be if you went in to do a pitch and they asked you, so how do you know it's going to cost $1 million? And then you don't have estimates up there and you didn't do your homework to prove that. So they're not going to take you seriously if you haven't done this research. They're not going to take you seriously if you haven't laid out your plan and your path to market. So I'll briefly cover these stages of development and what you'll go through, and then I'll dive in a little bit to what's required to go through those stages. So here's the stages of development. So the first one, and these are my stages. You might find some research that calls different things. Like I say ideation. You might hear some people call it conceptualization. It's just really similar. So ideation, this is where you first have your idea. So you're going to want to do that research on it. This is very research intensive. You want to look in the particular niche industry. You want to look at the landscape. You want to look at your competitors and just seeing how your product or technology fits in. Next up is feasibility and definition. So can your idea actually work? Is it possible that it scales? Like if you're in a lab setting and you got your technology to work there, that's awesome. But can you get it to work 5 times or 10 times? What about 100 or 10,000 or even 1,000,000? So here we're looking for, is it reliable? Is it repeatable? And then if it is, really hone in and define the who, what, when, where, and how of your product. So who will use it? What is it exactly? Where will they be using it? When will they be using it? And how will they be using it? Next up, we have iteration. So iteration is continuing to refine the product so you have something you think is really repeatable and reliable. It's functioning like it should several times, not just once. Now, you're probably going to be in this stage the longest, especially if it's a complex device. Maybe it has mechanical, firmware, software, or optics, anything that is integrated together as a system. And it's not just a plastic part. That's a lot simpler. There's the alpha prototype, then you've got your beta prototypes, and then you're scaling up from there. After that, then you come to design completion, where we'll take all of the marketing feedback, all the formative usability studies, the human factors, and we want to make sure that those are incorporated. Then we're going to freeze the design and then make test fixtures as needed so you can start testing, which brings me to verification. So that comes after you've frozen the design, and you basically want to check if your design inputs meet your design outputs, or did you do what you said you were going to do? Is this what the engineering specs called for? Did you actually do that? Then validation is making sure that the user needs are being met in the device that you created. So actually looking at those usability studies and then looking at that feedback and seeing, okay, is this really doing what the people wanted and needed? So maybe backing that up, doing another formative usability study, or maybe you do your summative here and just tie things up. And a lot of people call it verification and validation. I just kind of broke it down separately because it's easy. I think it's easier that way. And then lastly, you have the launch. And that's where you have a sales team or you have distribution channels in place to launch your product on the market. And hey, yay, you finally get to start making some revenue. So now that you know the process that you're going through, let's break it down on how to get there. And again, this is the first step that gets you where you want to go in the end. So you want to be funded so you can start developing your product, so you can be on the market, so you can start changing lives and making revenue while you're doing that. There are several things that will move your product along in those stages. So let's do a little overview of what those are. So I already touched on marketing. Marketing early on, you'll focus on idea validation. We're going to bootstrap some market research just to be sure this idea is viable. And then later on down the line, you're going to do more formal market research. You're going to continue to gather inputs. And then later on, you really want to identify how you're going to reach your audience, what channels you're going to do that through, and really work together with the sales team to define that well. Intellectual property. So you want to do your own patent landscape first. And of course, you're going to engage with the IP attorney, but you don't want to spend that money if there's something that you could have found on your own earlier that says, oh, okay, yeah, I had this great idea and so did this person 5 years ago. So that's a very gross error, or not an error, but just a sign that, hey, you shouldn't move forward. Let's get another idea. You can do that on your own versus paying an attorney to do that. So you really want to do as much as you can on your own budget before hiring someone else's. And then of course, later when you do have an attorney, they're going to do a more thorough research. They're going to dot the I's. They're going to cross the T's. They're going to help you work out a strategy. Or there's other people that can help you work out a strategy. There's an offensive stance you can take with your intellectual property. There's a defensive stance you can take. Then you want to get into, how is this IP going to fit into your portfolio? How does this IP fit into the marketplace and just the overall business strategies with that? Next up, we have engineering, design, and prototyping. So sometimes you want a show and tell prototype for your investors. Now, maybe not with your friends and family or that first seed round, but definitely when you start getting into venture capital, people really do like something tangible. They like to see it. And this can be done on a really small budget, with 3D printed parts or parts from an SLA machine, or then you paint them and you make it look like a real product, but it's actually just a dummy version and just painted really nice to look like the finished product. So engineering, design, and prototyping, you'll be taking your product design, even if it's just from a napkin, and then it's all of those steps, everything in between that iteration process, the design completion process, all the way to the manufacturing floor. And there's a big thing designing for manufacturing, designing it so that, okay, this is the process where the robot picks it up here, then the robot is going to insert this, and then it's going to drop it over there, and then this other robot's going to pouch it. That's pretty high volume, and that's getting up there. But it's really fun to think about that early and think about what you can do in the process so that you allow for that. So you want to allow for that success later on, not have to go back and implement this huge system when you're already really busy and you don't want to take that time. It would have been really nice if you could have done it up front. So clinical and regulatory. So if your product is one that's regulated by the FDA, you'll need to navigate the regulatory process and most likely the clinical trials as well. And we all know that this can take a while. So you really, really need to be careful about it. There's lawsuits all the time. There's product recalls. And that one of the best methods to help get your product along is figuring out the proper regulatory strategy early on. That's going to shape a lot of your development. So you want to do that. You want to have a plan in place. I always encourage engagement with the FDA or other regulatory bodies. If you're working with Canada, if you're working with Europe, China, India, each country has its own system. And if the sooner you can talk with them, the better. A lot of times you can get meetings with them and figure out where your product fits in, what they think about it, and the path you need to go down. And they'll gladly do that. And that's awesome. And then that'll help you so you don't think it's one way, talk to them, find out it's another way, and then have to start all over again. So here you can have it kind of also incorporates the not only the regulatory plan, but the FDA pre-submission, doing pre-clinical trials, looking at those results and finding out, okay, wow, my product is not it doesn't have what I thought it was going to have. So I'm going to change this design so it does. All those iterative processes are great. Okay, usability and human factors. So a lot of regulatory bodies require your device to be intuitive. And even if this doesn't apply to you, it should still be really intuitive so the users know exactly what to do without reading the instructions. So let me ask you a question here. So have you ever used an app or maybe some software and you get in there and you're just thinking, oh my gosh, this is such a nightmare. I can't figure out how to use this. I have no idea what I'm doing. And then you get into other things like I am not a Microsoft person. I'm a Gmail and Google person, and their products, to me at least, I know some people love Microsoft, so I'm not dogging on you, Microsoft. There's a lot of awesome things about you. Actually, I just used Word today. But anyway, with their email system, for instance, I do not like Outlook. It's really difficult for me, but with Gmail, it's just really intuitive. And a lot of people say that about Apple products too. It's just you can pick it up, you can figure it out. That's what you want your device to be like. This is even more important with medical devices. So think about this. So someone is in a situation where someone's unconscious and your adrenaline is really high. You need to save this person's life, or they have an allergic reaction and you need to find that EpiPen fast to get them what they need. Are you going to sit there and read the directions first? Well, maybe if you couldn't figure it out, but no one wants that. You want to just be able to pick it up and do it. This person's life depends on it. And that's what you should think about. You should think about people aren't going to read those. And the regulatory bodies are thinking that they want your device to be so intuitive that directions are not needed. And so think about that when you're designing the product. Make a big push for usability and human factors because it's a lot more important than you think. Next up is quality systems and quality assurance. So the way you build your product needs to be documented. And then also it needs to be documented when it's manufactured. This gets into more of the monitoring quality or quality assurance. So you'll need to build what's called a quality management system or QMS. And this is going to keep you on track. So early on, when you're validating your idea, when you're figuring out, hey, do I even want to do this or is it worth it? No, you don't need a QMS then. But then when you start designing things, all of those designs go inside of what's called a design history file. And you'll need to prove that to the regulatory boards and say, hey, this is how my product was built. This is why it's sound. Here's everything that we did. Because if something goes wrong with your product, they're going to need to see that. Okay, lastly, we have manufacturing. So there's a lot of systems in place. Actually, it's not last. Sales is last. So manufacturing. There's a lot of systems in place you'll need in order to scale for manufacturing, as well as the assembly process, the protocols for manufacturing. Who are your suppliers? How often are you getting material from your vendors? What's that process look like? Are they abroad? Are they here in the US? Do you have enough in inventory? And then also, once you get into manufacturing, again, you'll need to monitor that manufacturing for quality assurance. Then the last one, which I promise that is the last one, is sales. So what's your sales strategy? What are your tactics that you're going to take in the strategy that you're going to take to penetrate the markets that you want to be in? You want to start setting those up before you're done with your product. And that way, when your product's in manufacturing and ready to go, it's just a natural next step that, hey, we have this sales team built up or we have these distribution channels set up. We just need to fulfill and we're going to send the products on their way. So that starts early. You want to get involved a lot with marketing. You want to make sure in engineering with packaging your product, that when you're thinking about shipping the product, what type of packaging does it need to be in? Are you boxing 30 of them in a bigger box, and maybe it's in bubble wrap if it's a fragile device, or if it has some sort of liquid in it, have you tested that when you go in altitude that it's not going to burst open? So all of that is really important for sales, because if something happens to that order, sales isn't going to be doing very well. They're not going to be able to sell the damaged products. So I know that's a lot I threw at you, and all of what I listed here, the process from ideation all the way through launch, and then what we're doing to get there, everything from marketing all the way down through usability, through quality systems to sales, they all work together. And there's different things that you need to be doing at each step in the process. So we're going to cover more. I know you're thinking, okay, that's not really how I get funded. And it's a lot of information. So we're actually going to take 2 episodes to do this. Episode 37, the next episode, be sure to tune in when that goes live. Let's see, that will be the first week of December. So Tuesday, December 6th. So keep a lookout on that. If you're not already, you can subscribe to the podcast. So if you're on an iPhone, you can click subscribe there. If you don't know how to get a podcast on your phone and subscribe, YouTube it. Actually, that's a reminder, because I used to have a video on how to do that. So I will add those videos back up there. So like I said, stay tuned to episode 7. We'll cover more of what you need to do in terms of getting your business organized, formulating the business, and then what we just learned today, how you're going to rope that in with your pitch in order to attract investors. So I'll stress again that it's really important that you need to understand this process and know what you're getting into when you're developing a medical product. This is not easy. It's actually a lot easier if you want to develop a consumer product. So if your device can have an application, maybe you market it more as a wellness device and you're marketing it towards consumers. It's not having any medical claims for regulatory. That's easier. But anyway, regardless, you have to have a plan that's going to impress the investors. You have to have an idea of the cost that it's going to take to get to market and how much investment you need. You need to know where the tough spots are and how you can be prepared for that. You are going to need to recruit members of your team. If you don't understand all of this, which that's another story, but I'm definitely a big believer in a team, and one person, it's going to be really difficult for one person to get something to market. That would be definitely a unicorn if that's you. And you also need to understand this so you can find the right development partners, maybe that IP attorney that you're going to work with, or that regulatory specialist that you're going to work with. You need to understand a little bit about everything and then find those either internal team members or development partners that are external but work with your team to fill in the gaps. But you're not going to be able to do that if you don't understand all this. So I want you to really focus on that first. And today was just a high-level overview. We go pretty deep into this, as well as walk you through what you need to do for your idea or technology in my beta program, Invention Idea to Profitable Product. And again, you can sign up for free to be one of the 10 selected beta testers. Just go to imua-services.com/IIPP, or you can text the word invention to the number 44222. So I will catch you back on the next episode here on, as I said, Tuesday, December 6th, not the 5th. And until then, Imua.
Mahalo for joining us. If you're new to riding the waves of medical device product development, or if you've been in development for a while already, Inspired by Imua is here to surf with you. Want to be a master of the waves? Text HANG10, that's HANGTEN, to 44222. We'll send you the most common wipeouts companies make in product development so you can avoid them and reach master wave status. Again, that's hang 10 to 44222. We publish a new episode every Tuesday, so catch us at inspiredbyimua.com. Imua!